Imagine this for a moment. The car you trust every day, your companion on every journey, is quietly heading down a dead-end road. And no one told you. Behind the dazzling spotlights of car shows, a host of once iconic brands are slowly sinking into oblivion. Their value is plummeting, dealerships are closing, and loyal drivers are left with worthless assets. Doesn't that send a shiver down your spine? In this video, we're pulling back the curtain, exposing 10 car brands on the edge of collapse. Some are already on life support, others still look strong, but that confidence is built on thin ice. Stick around until the very end, because one of these names might be a belief you still hold dear, and that belief could cost you dearly. Lincoln, a name once synonymous with American luxury at its peak, with stately presidential limos or town cars gliding smoothly through city streets. But today, Lincoln is barely hanging on, and terrifyingly, most of us don't even realize it. In 2024, Lincoln's U.S. sales dropped by 27%, hitting their lowest point in over a decade. Sedans? Completely gone. Now, even their SUVs like the Nautilus and Corsair are struggling to compete in a sea of stronger rivals. Ford is pouring billions into EVs and trucks, but Lincoln? It's not even on Ford's hot plate anymore. Promised electric models are constantly delayed. The Star concept is still just a concept. While Cadillac is forging ahead with the Lyriq, Celestiq, Lincoln's electric future is nowhere to be seen. More dangerously, Lincoln has lost its identity. It's no longer bold, no longer innovative, and no longer a priority. Proof? Ford quietly shifted Nautilus production from the US to China. This is a huge red flag, showing where the brand's future truly lies. Dealership numbers are shrinking, service is worse, and resale value is in freefall. If you're thinking of buying a Lincoln, ask yourself, do you want to own a brand that its own parent has quietly abandoned? Remember Nissan? The name you could count on. From the legendary GTR, the sporty 240Z, to the rock-solid Maxima, Nissan once ruled the streets. But today, the story is completely different. In 2024, they still managed to sell nearly 900,000 vehicles in the US. Sounds decent, right? Dig deeper, and you'll find it terrifying. Maxima sales have dropped over 90%. Altima is also dying off. Behind the scenes, Nissan is facing a $5.4 billion loss. And that's just the beginning. A highly anticipated merger with Honda was supposed to create the world's third-largest automaker, but it collapsed in 2024 because Honda refused to give up control. Now Nissan is in panic mode, cutting 9,000 jobs, shutting down plants, canceling 2 crucial electric models. No hybrids, no plug-ins, no clear roadmap, just chaos and patchwork. And let's not forget the Carlos Ghosn scandal. Their former CEO escaped Japan in a shipping crate. Since then, Nissan has been spiraling. Internal leaks suggest Nissan might only have 12 to 15 months left unless a miracle deal appears quickly. If you're eyeing a Nissan right now, think carefully. This might not just be a car with issues. It could be a company on its last lap. Chrysler isn't just fading, it's collapsing right before our eyes. In 2005, Chrysler sold over 500,000 vehicles. In 2024, that number has plummeted to under 145,000. That's not a dip, that's a nosedive. And what's left? Basically one car, the Pacifica minivan. Iconic models like the 300 sedan have been discontinued. Their biggest hope was the Airflow electric SUV, a stunning concept. But in mid-2024, Stellantis pulled the plug. More ominously, Stellantis is reviewing all 14 of its brands to cut the dead weight, and Chrysler is at the top of that list. It's not just weak sales, it's the scandals. One dealership defaulted on a $5.7 million loan. Another closed due to customer fraud. If you're thinking of Chrysler, consider this. When a brand is circling the drain, resale values tank, parts become scarce, and service turns into a nightmare. This isn't just a bad time to buy a Chrysler. It might be the last time you buy such a car. Buick may technically still be around, but in the US, it's just a ghost of its former self. In 2024, Buick's US sales barely crossed 130,000 units, a staggering decline from its heyday. The scary thing is, most Americans today can't even name a single Buick model. A brand without recognition is a brand living on borrowed time. The iconic sedan lineup is gone. What's left? A shrinking array of lookalike SUVs like the Encore, Envision, Envista, easily overlooked. Buick no longer stands for anything unique. It's not luxury, it's not value, it's just there. While GM pours billions into Cadillac EVs, Buick? Crickets. And here's the twist. Buick is thriving in China. It's a status symbol there, accounting for over 80% of Buick's global sales. What does that mean? GM is far more likely to cut Buick loose in the US than to invest more to keep it alive here. For buyers, this poses a real risk. Resale value will crash, service support will shrink, and parts will be harder to find. Pontiac. That wasn't just a car brand. It was a complete American icon. In 1968, Pontiac was riding high, selling over 800,000 vehicles. They gave us legends like the GTO, the Firebird Trans Am, and even that quirky Aztec that somehow became a cult classic. But by 2009, that momentum had completely collapsed. Then the 2008 financial crisis hit. GM was bleeding cash, needing a massive $53 billion government bailout. And Pontiac, it was one of the first brands to get the axe. The last Pontiac, a white G6 sedan, rolled off the line in January 2010. Just like that, one of America's most recognizable car brands was gone. The aftermath: dealerships shut down, owners were stuck with rapidly depreciating cars, parts became harder to find, and resale values tanked. Sure, some enthusiasts still chase down rare GTOs or Turbo Grand Prix, but if you're thinking about buying a used Pontiac now, you better love risk. Maintenance is unpredictable, insurance can be a pain, and future support is almost non-existent. Pontiac's legacy is untouchable, but in today's world, it's a dead brand driving. Genesis. They burst onto the scene like a luxury underdog with something to prove. Bold design, plush interiors, cutting-edge tech, all at a price that undercut BMW, Lexus, and Mercedes. For a few years, it looked like they could actually disrupt the luxury market. But now, Genesis is running out of steam fast. US sales flatlined in 2024, dropping 15% from the year before, a dangerous sign for a brand still trying to prove itself. The G70, once praised, now lags behind in performance, tech, and resale. The G90, Genesis's flagship sedan, is barely a blip on the radar for serious luxury buyers. Even their SUVs, the GV70 and GV80, haven't hit Hyundai sales targets. Reviews have cooled, reliability concerns are popping up, and software glitches are being reported. And here's the bigger issue. Genesis has no standalone dealership network. Most models are still sold through Hyundai dealers, making the luxury experience feel not so luxurious. Behind the scenes, Hyundai is funneling billions into Kia and Ioniq-branded EVs. Genesis? It's barely getting a mention in Hyundai's future-facing strategies. If Genesis doesn't deliver a breakout hit soon, it risks becoming another failed luxury experiment like Saab, Oldsmobile, or even Pontiac. Infiniti was once seen as a sleek, modern rival to BMW and Lexus, a bold luxury brand with a fresh attitude. But fast forward to 2024, and Infiniti is sliding straight toward irrelevance. Last year, US sales dropped 13%, continuing a trend that's been heading in the wrong direction for over a decade. At this rate, it's not just a slump, it's a slow-motion exit. The clearest sign of trouble? Infiniti no longer has its own identity. More and more dealerships are consolidating with Nissan, putting both brands under the same roof. That move saves costs, sure, but it also screams decline. When a luxury brand loses its own showroom experience, that tells you everything about where it's headed. The product lineup is also shrinking fast. Infiniti is pulling the plug on both the QX50 and QX55 by the end of 2025. Two new SUVs, the QX60 and QX65, are coming, but they're priced only for high-income buyers. There's no strategy for affordability, no entry-level options. Add to that a history of inflated performance claims, repeated recalls, and a silently deteriorating brand reputation. Nissan, the parent company, says it's backing Infiniti, but their strategy is clear: chase higher profit margins, not more buyers. For everyday drivers, That's a risk. Infiniti is no longer a bold alternative. It's a shrinking shadow of what it once was. Suzuki. It didn't crash and burn in the US. It just quietly slipped out the back door. In 2012, Suzuki officially exited the US car market. No big announcement, no farewell tour. They simply couldn't keep up with tightening safety and emissions regulations. And let's be honest, their cars just didn't excite anyone. While competitors were stepping up, Suzuki kept pushing out bland, underpowered models that faded into the background. No standout styling, no innovation. And it didn't stop there. Even after pulling out of the US, Suzuki's reputation took more hits overseas. In 2016, they admitted to using improper testing methods on fuel economy and emissions across 16 models. Over 2 million vehicles affected. Then came investigations from German officials for using possible defeat devices to cheat emissions tests, similar to Volkswagen. To this day, Suzuki continues to face legal scrutiny in multiple countries. If you come across a used Suzuki for sale, know this: support is limited, parts are harder to find, and that nameplate carries baggage that hasn't been cleaned up. It may look like a cheap deal, but in the long run, this is a car brand best left in the past. Jaguar always stood for sleek sedans, roaring engines, and British luxury with attitude. But in 2024, the brand hit the brakes hard. Almost every model in Jaguar's lineup was discontinued. The XE, XF, F-Type, E-Pace, and even the I-Pace, all gone. Only the F-Pace remains, and that too is running on borrowed time. Why? Because Jaguar is attempting a complete pivot, going fully electric. Sounds bold, right? But here's the problem. The plan is shaky, the timing is risky, and the rollout is already turning people away. Their big move is a new electric four-door GT with a $125,000 plus price tag. They have no EV reputation, no mass market success. And asking buyers to pay six figures to be a guinea pig? That's a gamble most won't take. Making things worse, Jaguar's rebrand flopped hard. The famous Leaper logo was replaced with a generic J inside a circle. Their new slogan, Live Vivid, was slammed as tone-deaf, confusing. Meanwhile, Jaguar is slashing dealerships across the US, cutting their footprint. That means fewer service centers, weaker support. And let's not forget Jaguar's long history of recalls, quality control issues, and software bugs. This isn't just a transition, it's a total reset. And it could either save the brand or bury it for good. Lucid Motors. They burst onto the scene with ambitious promises. Ultra-luxury EVs, over 500 miles of range, tech to rival Tesla, and a design that looked like the future. But just a few years later, this dream seems to be unraveling fast. Their flagship model, the Lucid Air, boasted a range surpassing every Tesla. It launched with sleek marketing, premium pricing, and sky-high expectations. But what's behind that? In 2024, Lucid posted a $3.4 billion loss. Their stock price has plummeted over 95% from its peak. Investors are bailing, and confidence in the brand is drying up. Problems are everywhere. Lucid couldn't meet production targets, struggling to source even basic parts. Vehicles were delayed, customers waited endlessly. And when the cars did arrive, new issues surfaced: software bugs, infotainment glitches, and a Dream Drive driver assist system many found half-baked. Then CEO Peter Rawlinson, once touted as the visionary behind Tesla's Model S, stepped down. Lucid's survival now heavily hinges on foreign funding, specifically from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, which owns the majority of the company. And now, lawsuits from investors are piling up, accusing Lucid of inflating production capacity and downplaying internal struggles. If the courts agree, the fallout could be devastating. The bottom line: Lucid aimed to be the American electric luxury leader, but so far, it's delivered a massive burn rate, angry customers, legal trouble, and a fading future. If things don't change, and fast, Lucid may join the long list of EV startups that arrived loudly and disappeared quietly. So, we've pulled back the curtain on 10 car brands teetering on the edge of extinction. Some are already on life support, others are clinging to their last chance. But the warning signs are clear as day. If you're driving one of these, its value could vanish, support could disappear, and you might be left holding a massive burden. So, Before you make your next car purchase, think twice. Don't let these mistakes become your expensive lessons. If this video saved you from a bad decision, go ahead and hit like right now. Share it with anyone car shopping, and subscribe to our channel because we're just getting started.